there was a moment, probably recent, probably in the kind of casual, unplanned setting, where the most revealing things tend to happen, where your photo was in a room you were not in, where your image was being looked at by people who know your person well, people who have been in their life long enough to understand them with the specific intimacy of genuine friendship, people whose opinion matters to your person in the particular way that the opinions of people who know us best tend to matter, not as the determining factor in our choices, but as the mirror we trust most to reflect back an honest version of what we are walking toward. Your photo was studied, not glanced at, not scrolled past in the distracted, half present way that images move through modern life. Studied with the specific, deliberate, this matters quality of attention that people give to something when they understand the stakes of what they are looking at, when they know that the person who showed them the image is someone they care about, and that the image represents something their person cares about, and that what they see and say in this moment is going to carry weight. They took it seriously, every one of them. And in their own way, from their own angle, with their own particular combination of protective instinct and genuine curiosity, and the specific loyalty that real friends bring to the question of whether the person they love has found someone worth loving. And the verdict, they arrived at the conclusion that this group of people who know your person, who want the best for them, who have seen them through enough to understand what best actually looks like for them specifically, is not what you might have expected if you had been there to hear it. It is not cautious. It is not qualified. It does not carry the hedging of people who are reserving judgment or waiting to see more or trying to be diplomatically non-committal about something they are not sure of. It is enthusiastic. It is specific. And it has done something to your person that is directly relevant to everything that is coming next in your love story. Drop the word verdict in the comments right now and subscribe to this channel if you are not already here, because what happened in that room, what your photo produced in the people who know your person best, is going to give you a clarity about where you stand that changes how you carry yourself through what comes next. Let me begin with the context. The specific situation in which your photo came out and was seen and studied, because understanding how it happened tells you something important about your person and what they have been doing with what they feel. They showed the photo. That fact alone is significant, and I want to make sure you do not pass over it without giving it the full weight it deserves, because your person did not have to show anyone. They could have kept what they feel and what they are interested in entirely private in the way that people do when they are uncertain about something, or when the something does not yet feel ready to be shared with the people who know them best. Keeping things private until they are certain is a very human response to the vulnerability of caring about something before you know how it is going to develop. Your person did not keep it private, they shared it in the specific way of someone who has arrived at a point of feeling something with enough certainty and enough substance that the containing of it within their own private experience has become insufficient. Who needs, in the deeply human way of people who have genuine friendships, to bring what they are experiencing into the shared space of people who know them? Who wants the reality of you to exist in the world of their life rather than only in the interior where they have been holding it? Showing your photo to the people they trust most is one of the most significant things your person could have done. It is the beginning of making you real in their world, of introducing you in image in the stories that inevitably accompanied the showing to the people whose presence constitutes their life. It is the act of someone who is not keeping you at the edge of their existence, but moving you toward the center of it. And the fact that they did it tells you something about where they are with what they feel, something unambiguous, something that requires no interpretation. They are serious about you. Now let me tell you what happened when the friends saw the photo. The specific, real, unfiltered response that your image produced in people who were looking at it with the particular attention of people who understand the stakes. The first response was immediate, and it was physical. Before any analysis, before any conversation, before any of the considered, thoughtful processing that friends engage in when they are doing the work of helping someone they love think through something important, there was the immediate, involuntary, this is what my eyes are telling me response. The intake of breath, or the leaning in, or the particular quality of attention that a person gives when what they are looking at is genuinely arresting. You arrested them. Not in the self-conscious, performing attraction way of someone who is trying to make an impression, in the way of something that simply, honestly, without effort or strategy, commands attention. They looked at your photo, and something in each of them registered you as someone worth looking at, not because you conform to a particular standard. Standards are arbitrary, and what arrests people is rarely about standards, because you have a presence, even in an image, even in the two-dimensional, stripped of context, impossible to fully capture a person in medium of a photograph. Your presence comes through. They felt it without being able to explain it fully or immediately, just felt the specific quality of someone who is actually genuinely, completely present, even in a static image. The quality of someone who is not performing for the camera, but who simply is, and whose being is interesting in the specific way that real people are interesting, as distinct from people who are trying to be interesting. Then came the conversation, the specific friends who know each other well conversation that happens in the aftermath of the immediate response, when everyone in the room has registered something and is now in the process of putting it into words. I want to describe what they said, not word for word. I am not transcribing a conversation that happened in a room I was not in, but the quality of it, the direction of it, the specific themes that emerged when a group of people who love your person sat with your image and spoke honestly about what they saw. The first thing that came up was the eyes. It almost always comes down to the eyes with people who are looking carefully at a photograph rather than casually, because the eyes are where the presence lives in an image, where the interior of a person, the depth, the intelligence, the specific quality of their emotional and intellectual life communicates itself even when the context has been stripped away by the camera. And what they saw in your eyes produced a particular comment. Something about the quality of the intelligence there, something about the warmth that coexists with it, something about the specific, identifiable, completely ungeneric quality of someone who is looking out at the world from a place of genuine self-possession. They said something about how you look like someone who knows themselves, not in a haughty way. In the settled, this person has a relationship with their own interior way that is visible to people who know what they are looking for. And these people, the friends of your person, who have known your person long enough to understand what your person needs, recognize that quality as something specific and as something specifically right for the person they love. The second thing that came up was the way you carry yourself. In the photograph, whatever the context of the image, whatever you were doing, however it was taken, there is something in how you inhabit your own body, how you occupy your own space, that communicated itself to people who were studying it carefully. A particular ease, not the ease of someone who has learned to pose well or who is comfortable with being photographed. The ease of someone who is comfortable with themselves, who is at home in their own skin in the specific, recognizable way of someone whose interior and exterior are not at war with each other. That ease, visible even in a photo, even to people who have never met you, produced a response that I want to describe accurately because it matters. It produced warmth, a genuine, immediate, person-to-person warmth from a group of people who are meeting you for the first time in image form and who found themselves responding to you the way people respond to someone they instinctively like, not approve of in the polite, this is suitable sense. Actually, like in the I would enjoy knowing this person sense, that is the best possible verdict from the people whose job it is to be honest about who their friend brings into their life. Let me tell you what they said about the match, because this is the part that is most directly relevant to you and to your person and to what the verdict means for what comes next. They said your person looks different when they talk about you. Not different in the way of someone who has become a different person. Different in the way of someone whose particular best self is more visible when a certain subject is present. When the photo came out, when your image arrived in the room and the explanation of who you are and what you mean began, something in your person's demeanor shifted. The people who know them well enough to notice noticed. The particular quality of aliveness, the specific brightness that arrives in a person's expression when they are talking about something that genuinely matters to them rather than something they are obligated to discuss or interested in at the surface level. Your person came alive talking about you in front of the people who know them best in a way that those people registered, and that was part of what informed the verdict. Because the friends were not just looking at your photo, they were watching your person while your person showed them the photo, observing the effect that you have on the specific person they love. And what they observed produced in them a particular kind of relief, the relief of people who care about someone and who have been hoping that the right kind of connection would arrive for them, and who are seeing in real time the evidence that it has. They approved. That is the plain version of the verdict, not the reluctant, I suppose this seems fine, approval of people who are trying to be supportive. The genuine, I can see why you feel this way. This person seems actually right for you. Approval of people who are looking at a situation with the clear eyes of genuine love for one of the parties and who see something worth endorsing. One of them said something specific. I keep feeling this in the energy of that room, and I want to name it, even though I cannot tell you the exact words. Something that acknowledged the quality of what they saw in your image and connected it directly to what they know your person needs. Something that amounted to, this one is different, this one is worth it. Not said about you with any condescension or as though you were being assessed against a rubric. Said as the honest recognition of someone who knows their friend well and who can see in the image and in the stories and in the way your person is when they talk about you, that what is happening here is something real. Now I want to tell you what happened to your person after the friends gave their verdict, because the verdict did something. It produced a consequence in your person that is directly relevant to what is coming in your love story. It freed something. That is the word that keeps arriving when I sit with the energy of what occurred in your person after the friends responded the way they responded. Something that had been slightly held, not fully restrained, not kept completely in check, but carrying a slight self-consciousness about whether what they felt was legible to the people whose judgment they trust was released. Your person came away from that conversation with something they did not have going in, a specific kind of permission, not the permission of someone else's approval dictating their choices. Your person is not someone who requires external permission to want what they want. A different kind, the permission that comes from having your own private experience of something validated by the people who know you best. From having the thing you have been feeling in the private space of your own interior confirmed as something that makes sense, that tracks. That is not just you being swept up in something that looks different from the outside than it feels from the inside. The friends looked at your image and they saw what your person has been seeing, and seeing that they saw it, having the perception confirmed by the people whose perception they trust, something in your person settled into a new level of certainty, of readiness, of this is real and I am going to act on it with the full commitment it deserves. Resolve. What comes from that resolve is movement toward you, with a directness and an intentionality and a quality of purpose that the pre-verdict version of your person was building toward but had not yet fully arrived at. The verdict accelerated something, made concrete something that was in process, gave your person the specific, grounded, the people who know me best see what I see confirmation that moved them from approaching certainty to complete certainty. They are certain about you now, completely. In the specific, public, I showed your photo to my friends and I am not embarrassed about what I feel and the people who know me best agree with. Me way of someone who has arrived at the point of no longer managing their feeling toward you but simply having it fully, without the slight self-monitoring of earlier stages. Let me speak to something in your energy that I want to address directly. Something I am feeling in how you relate to the idea of being seen, specifically the idea of being seen by people you do not know, being assessed by friends of someone you care about, existing as an image in a room you were not in. There is a part of you that is not entirely comfortable with this. Not because you are insecure. Virgo's relationship with self-assessment is actually quite grounded. You tend to know yourself well and honestly. But because there is a specific discomfort in the idea of being reduced to a single image, of being known in the limited, two-dimensional, context-stripped way that a photograph allows, of having people who do not know you form impressions about you that could matter without having access to the full and complex reality of who you actually are. You would prefer to be encountered in person, in the full dimensionality of a real interaction where your actual presence, the way you think and speak and listen and respond, the specific quality of how you are with people can communicate the things that a photograph simply cannot. And the discomfort around the photograph in a room situation is the discomfort of someone who knows that the full version of them is significantly more compelling than any partial version, and who is aware that a photograph is always partial. What I want to tell you is this. The partial version, the image, the two-dimensional representation of someone they have never met, produced the verdict it produced. The complete version, when they encounter it, is going to produce something significantly beyond the verdict. When the friends of your person eventually meet you in the full, real, completely dimensional way when they have access to the actual presence rather than the image of it. The enthusiasm of the verdict is going to look like a conservative estimate of what they find. You are more than your photograph. The photograph is already impressive to people who are not even the ones you are trying to impress. The real you is going to make the photograph look like a draft. What does the verdict change? What does it mean for the practical, immediate, what happens next reality of your love story? It changes the atmosphere. In the specific, difficult to quantify but entirely real way, that external validation changes the atmosphere of something internal. Your person is now operating in a slightly different context than the one they were in before the friends saw your photo. A context in which what they feel about you has been witnessed and affirmed by the people whose witnessing and affirmation matter most. A context in which the relationship, whatever form it is currently taking, has been implicitly welcomed into the world of their life rather than kept at its edges. That welcome matters more than it might seem, because the movement from keeping something at the edges of your life to bringing it toward the center is one of the most significant moves a person makes in a relationship. And your person has made it. Showing your photo was the move. The verdict was the confirmation that the move was the right one. And what follows the confirmation is the next move toward you, with more intention and more openness and more willingness to bring what exists between you into the full light of everything that constitutes their life. You are going to feel that movement soon in the specific quality of how they are with you, the increased directness, the deeper honesty, the particular quality of someone who is no longer managing the speed of their own feeling, but simply moving at the speed it naturally wants to move. The verdict freed something in them, and the freed thing is going to express itself in the direction of you. It also changes something in the social landscape around your person, because the friends who saw your photo and gave the verdict they gave are now, in their own way, participants in what is developing. They have knowledge. They have impressions. They have the particular investment of people who have been shown something and responded to it, and who will now notice going forward anything related to the person in the photo. They are on your side without ever having met you, without any other information than an image and the stories your person told while showing it. You have allies you have never met, people who want what develops between you and your person to develop well, because they looked at your photo and they saw someone they can see their friend being genuinely happy with. And that specific friends of your person kind of alliance, built on first impression and genuine affection for the person they share, is not something to underestimate. Let me close with what I most want you to take from this reading. The thing that has been present in the energy of everything I have described, and that I want to make sure arrives in you clearly before we are done. You were seen today, not by people who know you, by people who do not know you at all. People who encountered a single image and took it seriously and gave it the quality of attention that it deserved, and arrived at a verdict that reflects something real, not about the image, about the person in the image, about the specific, visible, even in a photograph quality of someone who is genuinely, completely, undeniably themselves. That quality, the one that communicated itself through a photograph to strangers who were looking carefully, is what you carry into every room you enter, every conversation you have, every encounter with every person who has the attention and the perceptiveness to notice what is actually present rather than only what is immediately obvious. It communicated through the limitation of a single image to people who had no particular investment in finding something to admire. Imagine what it does to the people who are paying full attention to the one person who showed that image, because the quality of what they have experienced in your actual presence has been so significant that they needed the people they trust most to understand what they are dealing with. They showed your photo because you have made an impression that required sharing. The impression to the people who saw it confirmed everything, and the person who needed the confirmation has it now. And they are coming towards you with everything that confirmation has unlocked.